ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणं। परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यईश्वरं। हरि ओं तत्सत्। आनन्दलीलामय विग्रहाय हेमाभ्यदिव्यच्छविसुन्दराय तस्मै महाप्रेम रसप्रदाय चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते। चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते। चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते। Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you once again for our session. I hope all of you are doing well. So let's get started. I'll just mute everyone for any background, avoid any background noise. So we had two sessions of Does God Exists? In our first session, um, we spoke about like, okay, did everything come by chance? In our second session, we went into what are the different types of pramans, or what are the different type of ways, mechanism through which we acquire knowledge. And now we are beginning our third session. I really am very grateful to all of you for your presence. It's Friday evening. I know many times like we may have many different programs, and sometimes it might be very difficult to manage and be consistently coming to here. But when we come, when we come to hear about who is God, and Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that when devotees come together and hear, they do they do paraspar. They talk about God. They talk about understanding, um, about God's creation, about the message of Bhagavad Gita, about the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. Through this, okay, this definitely brings joy within their heart. They relish because Krishna is the source of, he is Sachidanand. He is the source of all, reservoir of all bliss. And when we discuss about Krishna, it gives us also bliss. So, having said that, and in our next session, we are going to, I'll keep it secret. So, let's, as we get into this third session, so I want to talk about, like, okay, we concluded our last session with saying that, okay, Shabda Praman is more authoritative. Okay, there are two other pramans that we talked about. Does anyone remember what those two pramans were? What were the two other pramans?
I can go.
Yes, Sakshinathji, please go ahead.
Pratyaksha Praman
Yes.
and Anuman Praman. I don't know the word, but some guesstimate.
Yes,
That
yes,
was
yes,
the second one.
yes. Anuman is the guesstimate, and Pratyaksha is
Yes.
what we observe with our senses. Absolutely
Yeah.
right. Thank you, Mataji. So, and the third one is the Shabda Praman. So, Shabda Praman is the most authoritative out of this. So, let us look at why. Let us try to understand a little bit deeply. Like, let's try to analyze this fact as to what is that something in this Shabda Praman. What does, like, from the time uh, within the, in a historical perspective, let us try to understand how this Shabda Praman is so authoritative. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the ninth canto, there is a description of, like, okay, Maharaj Amrish, like, okay, who ruled this planet Earth. Okay, and at that time, he was called. Just give me one moment. Okay, yeah. So there is, when Maharaj Amrish ruled the planet Earth, at that time, this Earth was referred as Bhugol. Now, Srimad Bhagavatam is 5,000 years old. Okay, so Bhu means earth, and what does Gol means? Gol means circle. Okay, that means the shape of the earth is what? Circle. Now, I want to remind you all, like, I'm sure, like, all of you have read this um, in our science textbooks, okay, even in our historical textbooks, okay, at the even like as far as late in the around 15th century, when Columbus started to sail, right? At that time, like, okay, he was on he was on his way to find India, and people at in those times, just like very recently as 15th century, people thought, like, okay, that the earth was flat. And at that time, like, okay, like he like this at that time, the Spanish king who was there, they refused to give him the ship, but somehow the queen was very favorable and they gave him the ship. But the people with Columbus was sailing, I mean, it so many days passed, and, like, okay, they were not able to see any land, and they thought this guy is like completely mad. So if by tomorrow morning, if we don't see, we are going to kill this guy. But somehow the very next day, they found sight of land, and they thought that, okay, they found India. Later, did they realize that, okay, that was not India, but that was America. So that was in 15th century. So why I'm saying is because at that point of time, these guys were thinking, like, okay, the guys who were under Columbus, they were thinking that anyway the Earth is flat, so we are keeping on sailing in one direction, and some point of time we'll reach some no man's land. Okay, but it was not like that. It was, and later, okay, after, uh, I mean, there were some discussions, like, okay, and I do not remember the name of the scientist who found out, like, okay, I believe it was, no, let me not speculate. So, but there were scientists who found out, like, okay, that the Earth is round. So now it is also said in our in the same ninth canto that the earth is referred to as Saptadweep. Sapta means seven and Dweep means island. Okay. And this was at a time when America was not even like late till 15th century, America was not even found. So there were seven islands were not found actually. But 5,000 years back, this was already in Srimad Bhagavatam that, okay, where the earth is being referred to as what? Saptadvip. Now, um, the other reference is, like, okay, in the Vedic scriptures, like, okay, it is said that the stool of an animal is considered very, very contaminated. But in this, there is an exception, like, okay, the the stool of a cow, like, okay, the cow urine or the cow dung, like, okay, is being also used like during the pran pratishtha or when the deities are being installed. Right? It is considered to be extremely pure, but there was no scientific evidence for this till very late, like, okay, less than, like, okay, about 100 years back, like, okay, there were scientists who started finding out that this cow dung or the stool of the cow, okay, that has very wonderful properties. It has a lot of antiseptic properties. In fact, there are so many medications also which are available. Then there are also places, okay, in villages, in nowadays in eco villages, that people use cow dung, okay, to purify their home, okay, and cow urines are being also used to purify the home. There are also very recently I heard one of the very prominent doctors like from India. He's from his name is very much popularly heard, Dr. Devi Shetty from Narayan Hridayalaya. He was saying about the actual um, the the antiseptic properties of cow urine and cow dung actually. So it's very uh, slowly, like, modern science is trying to accept, like, okay, where what are the things, but this has already been there. So another example is tulsi plant, like, okay, tulsi plant in our scriptures, in the Vedic scripture, it has been said, like, okay, that is very, very pure. And nowadays, like, okay, in the very recent times, like, okay, there are so much research around that coming up with, like, okay, so much medicinal properties. Same thing is with Ganges water, Ganga water. So um, it is considered to be very pure, and now science is slowly identifying that, okay, for however long you may keep this Ganges water, it will not get contaminated. So there are many such science theories that are there which are getting proved wrong, like, okay, but the Vedics, but the but what is so unique about this, um, the principles that have been given in Vedic is it is time tested, like it has not changed with the time. Now we also discussed about one other thing. I also showed a video also earlier. So in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a conversation where Kapil Muni is describing to his mother about the development of the child. That is basically human embryology. Okay, is describing about that from day one of the conception till the birth of the child. Now he describes like exactly what is happening, like, okay, day by day, like, okay, through that 9 month period, like, okay. So um, very recently, like, okay, I was talking to some doctors, like, okay, they were saying, like, okay, yes, whatever has been given in Srimad Bhagavatam, like, okay, the modern science, like, okay, what they are now finding out, because now the scans and all these things are relatively newer, right? So these were not there in age old times, like, okay. So whatever has been described, they are able to see the exact same description, like, okay, more or less the timings are also matching, like, okay, with whatever has been given in Srimad Bhagavatam. So we can see 5,000 years ago, see, Kapil Muni did not happen to write a medical textbook. Kapil Muni is discussing with his mother about, like, what happens in the womb, like, okay, and it is a non-medical philosophy. And in that book, like, okay, he casually mentions about this, and the details are there is so much level of detail that is there, so much knowledge that is there, that even many of these things scientists today do not have it. So we can understand from this, just like, okay, if anyone wants to casually also read like, okay, this Vedic text, right? Then they'll be able to, and if they read it with full faith and they follow this, like, okay, we can understand how much they will be able to live a simple life, happy life, and a blissful life. So there are many type of descriptions. So if you see, for example, the Srimad Bhagavatam, which, as I was mentioning, okay, it is 5,000 years old. Okay, it describes, okay, the appearance of Lord Buddha, where he will take birth, who will be his parents, father, mother. Okay, it also describes about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who just appeared 500 years ago. It is predicted in even Mahabharata, in Srimad Bhagavatam, so many other Upanishads that is given. And it also, the Vedic scriptures also goes into details about like what is the Surya Vansh, Chandra Vansh, like, okay, how things will be in Kali Yuga. And then it talks like, okay, like if you see, for instance, Bhavishya Puran. Bhavishya Puran tells about the appearance of Lord Jesus Christ, like how he will appear in a country where there are degraded mlechas, yavanas, how he will uplift them by presenting a philosophy. So even if you see Muhammad, like, okay, he has also been predicted in the Atharvaved and in the Bhavishya Puran. So see, the uh, amazing thing is like, okay, if you read the scriptures, right, and if you try to understand them, then what will happen is nothing will surprise you for the next five for the 5 to 10,000 years actually. So it is, everything is predicted actually. So this is a proof like, okay, to show like how powerful these Vedas are, how the essence of these Vedic scriptures are. For example, in this particular age, like, okay, so we are in Kali Yuga, and many times I have told this, like, okay, Kali means like, okay, Kali comes from the word Kalaha, Kalaha. Now you know, like, okay, Kala is a Sanskrit word, but Kala is also like, okay, in many languages of Indian languages also it is being, in Hindi also there is this word Kalaha, in Bengali also there is word Kalaha. Kalaha means quarrel. Its direct meaning, many people correlate with that quarrel. It also means hypocrisy. So nowadays, like many times, the people fight for like, okay, even I've heard these scenarios like, okay, many people like, okay, when they are on the road, they are asked for $1 and they don't give a dollar and they're killed for that. So even in India, like many times, like, okay, such kind of incidents happen actually, and many other parts of the world. So these are described very clearly in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And having said that, okay, let me try to show you something actually. So I was reading this and I thought, okay, let me share this with all of you. Let me know once you are able to see my screen. Can you see my screen? Okay, thanks, Robert. So here, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam. It is from the 12th canto. It is saying, Shri Shukha Uvacha Tataschanu Dinam Dharmaha Satyam Shaucham Kshamadaya Kalena Balina Rajan Nankshati Ayurbalam Smriti. The meaning is so beautiful. See this, Shukdev Goswami is saying, said, then, O king, he's telling to Parikshit Maharaj, O king, Parikshit Maharaj, religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, duration of life, physical strength, and memory will all diminish day by day because of the powerful influence of the age of Kali. Hare Krishna. So you can see this has been predicted, okay, that these will reduce. Now let us try to analyze this. What is being said, like, okay? So I'll just go one by one. So if you see what is happening, like, okay, it is it is said, like, okay, these will decrease day by day. Anudinam, the word is being, day after day, this will reduce. So dharma, the religion. Now, if you notice, if we ask our parents or our grandparents, you'll understand no matter where we are living, but people were much more pious, like 50 100 years back. But nowadays if you see, so many people, they they consider it's a fashion to call them as atheist, right? It is, I don't believe in God. I have come across many such people. If you believe in God, they think that, okay, oh, where has he come from? Then if you see, uh, satyam, like the truthfulness, like, okay, in the in days of Ramayana, like it was said, pran jaye par vachan na jaye. That means, like, okay, people were willing to give up their life to keep their word. But now it is completely different. Earlier it was like people's speech were like, they were s- they were carved on the stone, like, okay, they were lines on the rock. And now it is in Kalyug, people's speech are like lines on the water. Before you even finish, the line is rubbed. And so many people twist their sentences in such a way, like, okay, like you don't even know what they're saying actually. So even what to speak for this, like, okay, if you see, truthfulness has gone to such extent, like, okay, where when it uh, even within relatives, brothers, siblings, right? Many times, like, okay, you have to have agreement, like, okay, who will get what kind of property, this, that, right? So that is going on. Then shaucham, and shaucham is cleanliness. People do not know in this at this time, like, okay, if we consider with the olden times, like, okay, in the times of Vedic culture, people used to go to the forest, or like go to the nearby forest to go pass tools. But if you see these days, the toilet is right opposite to the kitchen. Many cases, toilet is connected to the kitchen also. So you can see, like, okay, how things have got degraded. Even if you see, like many people, like, who are staying in old houses, you'll see that the toilets are generally outside of the house. The idea was, like, okay, to keep the house clean, like, okay, and like the toilet will be outside. But nowadays, like, everything is like, okay, inside, like, okay, compressed. Shama, next one. So people, Shama refers to tolerance. Now, I don't need to say, like, okay, see, people's tolerance have gone so low. There is absolutely so much intolerance. Like, okay, the slightest blink of an eye, like, okay, there is war. So, next one is daya. Daya is refers to mercy. There is so much um, mercy is reducing so much. Like, okay, just for little satisfaction of tongue, people are ready to cut the throat of an animal. And now, what to speak about animal? There are so many, like, okay, just to satisfy the egos. There are so many wars also happening, right? So it not just animal but human beings also. Then so and then it is also said that the age of a person, it gets reduced. So take some examples, like, okay, if today someone is crosses 100 years, you will see many times, like, okay, there are um, their pictures are being posted on the portals, or I've seen many times, like, okay, on newspapers also, it is their photos are there, like, okay, this person, they have now made it to 100 years. Earlier people were healthy, they would take healthy food. Nowadays, when it comes to food, if you see, there is organic and inorganic food. Earlier, everything was organic. Now there is GMO, non-GMO, organic, inorganic, so many other things, right? So it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam that a time will come when people will live for, if people live for 20 years, that person will be considered as a grand old man. Then then the next one is Balam. It is said that the people's strength will reduce. Now, I'll be very honest. I went to a place called Ekachakra Dham. So Ekachakra Dham is where um, the Pandavas stayed during when they were exiled. When they were in the forest, they stayed there, and there is a demon, Bakasur. His um, uh, his knees, like Bhim killed him, so his knees are still there actually. And Kunti Devi used to light lamps, so her lamp is still there. Now forget about lighting that same lamp. That lamp is so big we cannot lift it actually. So it will require several people to lift that particular lamp. And if you um, even if you see like in Mahabharat times, like, okay, people they would be wearing those armors. They were so heavy, okay, solid iron and sword and those kind of, okay. Forget about Mahabharat. Even if you see um, like who is this? Rana Pratap. The kind of sword that Rana Pratap used to lift, like when he would be on the horseback, he would he would be so fast, swift on the horse. Like, okay, when he would do his sword like this, in the momentum itself, it will cut the throat of the other person. But gone are those days actually. Now, if we have to see, like, okay, if we have to lift that sword, also forget about fighting. We cannot even lift that sword. This I'm talking about like hardly like 100 years back, 150 years back. So it is that bad actually, or maybe 200 years. So today, if you see, um, like I tell about, I don't know about now how it is. Like I know, and maybe Amit Prabhu can tell. There are this in cricket. They have this new concept of what is that short cricket version called? IPL,
T20.
right?
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
so earlier there were 50 over matches. Then there are what 10, 20 over like that. So and after like six balls, like okay, the
Yeah,
bowler
so
would change.
the new format is probably T10, 10 overs match.
Okay, 10 overs. So 10 overs match. So whatever, like okay. Last I watched cricket like okay, several more than a decade back. So but in Mahabharat, people would shoot arrows from sunrise to sunset and for 18 consecutive days. Now think about it. In 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 cricket, like, okay, after playing for I mean to shoot that small ball itself, like people have to run half a kilometer to shoot that ball there with force. So if you see in terms of memory, what to talk about others. My memory is also reducing. Earlier, people would hear and remember. See, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Suta Goswami heard Srimad Bhagavatam's 18,000 verses from Shukdev Goswami. Okay, and he did not make a note of this. He reproduced exactly as it is, okay, in Naimisharanya. He did not need a recorder. Now, I was telling one devotee, like, okay, we have to. I also need multiple times of hearing in order to remember something. So Shruta Goswami, he just heard, and it got inscribed in his heart. Like I have heard that about 100 years back, there was the this type of people who could hear and who could remember immediately. They are called Shrutidhar. So the last found such Shrutidhar was in India, in somewhere in Andhra, and this person could like as soon as like okay he would hear anything he could remember. So there was a competition, and in this competition like okay many people would come and they would ask questions like okay, randomly. This person asked question, that person asked third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and the thing was like okay that when these fellows will ask any question, um, then the the Shrutidhar is supposed to hear every question, and then he has to answer in that same order. And then as he's as he's answering, right, he has to remember their names also, and then remember that order, and then while those questions are being done, like in the background there'll be a bell ringing. So when that bell rings, at the end of it, he has to tell how many bell has totally rung. That bell will ring in any order. So he has to hear all of this. Now, if you think this may seem like, okay, it is inconceivable, it is impossible, but this was happening up to like about 100 years back. Now think about it, like what kind of memory that we have. So now we talked about mercy. See, like it is described in the scriptures that a time will come. People are now killing animals, but a time will come when people will produce. Srimad Bhagavatam is saying that people will produce children to kill them and eat them. It will not be surprisingly okay, because Kali Yuga will get so degrade. Srimad Bhagavatam goes up to the extent of saying that okay, the natural resources that are available naturally, they will be sold. So we know that okay, um, even if we take about food, food was not in the Vedic times. Food was never sold. See, concept of this hotels and restaurants, like they never existed. There were dharmashalas. So, and in dharmashalas there was free food available. But nowadays, like, okay, uh, food is sold. If you see, um, like I knew that in my childhood, like okay, I did not know that okay, there was water being sold. Okay, but then nowadays, if you see, mineral water is a big business. Spring water, mineral water, so many type of things, right? And that I have heard that um, in Japan there are shopping malls actually where there are those few puffs of like okay pure oxygen air is available. You can take like okay the oxygen mask can take some few puffs of that oxygen. Those are being sold. So this was unthinkable in the even like 50 100 years back. If you see, for example, in COVID, many people they were getting who were getting hospitalized, they had to pay for oxygen. And as I had heard from many people, like, okay, these oxygen masks were so expensive, like, okay, it was unaffordable to many people. And unfortunately, it was unavailable, and many people died because of that as well. So we can understand such degradation is happening. So for another 5 to 10,000 years, you'll be surprised that if you read scriptures, you will not be bewildered because the word of authority is coming from a perfect source. See, this Vedas, as I as I had told, okay, few sessions back, okay, Vedas means Shruti. Earlier, people will never write this down. It was coming through the Guru Shishya Parampara system. So the spiritual master will speak, and the disciples would hear it, and they would go ahead and speak, and they would transfer the knowledge. Later, what happened in the beginning of Kali Yuga, Srila Vyasdev, he understood like okay, he could understand, he could see what was coming in the future, and out of compassion for people like us, he decided that okay, he understood that people will be very much degraded in the time to come. So he wrote all these things down. Like okay, he wrote this, and these Vedas they are called in they are called apaurushaya. That means they are not a product made by human beings. So because if you remember in our last session, we spoke about one thing that the human beings have four types of defects. Does anyone remember what those defects are? No one remembers what those defects are? Okay, let me give one clue. One defect is that they have imperfect senses. Next is that they are illusion. Third is a condition. These are the defects of a conditioned soul. They are They have imperfect senses, they're illusioned, they have cheating propensity, and fourth one I am also trying to remember. Um, okay, if I remember, I'll tell. But there are four defects actually. Okay, so that is the nature, like, okay, of this material world actually. So give me one moment here. Okay, so how did I come here? What was I saying just prior to that? Okay, yes, the
Shruti, when
Vedas
it
are
says,
called Apurusha.
yeah,
Yeah, because like, okay, these are not created by human beings, and the human beings are conditioned. They have these four defects, and but these Vedas are not concocted like by human brains. So they are revealed. They are revealed truths revealed by God Himself or through His representative. So these scriptures, they are considered to be like an instruction manual. We know, like, okay, when we buy a television, a dishwasher, a washer, dryer, anything that we talk about, okay, any appliance that we get, right? It comes with an instruction manual, right? And what does that instruction manual tell? Okay, how to use this product, what we should, uh, how how is the best way to use this product, what are the things that we should do, what are the things that we should not do, how to troubleshoot that product, all those things are there, right, in the instruction manual. So if we break those rules, many times it is written, don't do it like this, otherwise there will be a problem, there will be fire, right? So that is how the Supreme Lord, He created and He gave the manual in the form of scriptures. So why are there different scriptures? There are so many religions. There are so many scriptures. They may seem like, okay, there is so many different opinions in the scriptures. So if the same person has made this instruction manual, then why there is so much difference in the scriptures, right? Makes sense? Is that a good question? Right? So see, the actual thing is, it is not that these are different messages in these different scriptures. In a sense, they are the same message. It is all one, but according to time, place, and circumstances, they just differ. Otherwise, in essence, they are the same. No scriptures differ. It is not that scriptures are um, give different messages. Okay, they may be told in a different way depending on the time, place, circumstances. So let us take an example of what this means. So supposing, let's say, there is there is a doctor, or let's say there is a surgeon, okay, and who knows everything about this body. Now, if a 5-year old boy goes to this doctor and says, that, okay, oh, doctor uncle, please tell me what happens to the food that we eat. Now, Now the surgeon is going to talk to the child and say, okay, you want to understand what happens when we eat the food? When we eat the food, the food goes into the stomach, like this is the stomach. Okay, and then after that, it is digested and we get energy out of that. And then after that, whatever is not required is thrown out. Okay. Now, let's say a 10th grade student, okay, this guy comes, like, okay, and asks the same doctor that, can you help me understand what happens when we eat food? Then the same doctor may tell to him that, okay, this the food goes into the stomach. There is the whatever food pipe is there. From there, it goes into the stomach. From there, the intestine. What is happening in the intestine, and then like after that, the food is digested. Now, same thing he has told differently. Now, let's say, like, okay, let's take a scenario that another doctor, now this guy is a surgeon, this is an MBBS doctor, comes and he says, okay, can you tell me more about this? And he says, okay, oh, okay, you want to know? Okay, there are, it depends on the type of food, like carbohydrates are drawn in so and so place, minerals are being extracted here, there are various types of bile, this hydrochloric acid, all these things, the juices come out, they do this, and then there is so many operations happening in kidney, all the salts, this, that, like, okay, all much. Bottom line is like, okay, there's a lot of detail with which he starts sharing. Now, if if someone may ask, like, okay, is the surgeon replying the same thing or is it a different? So if you look at it, like, okay, he's telling the exactly same thing in essence. If think about it, if an MD comes, like another MD doctor comes and say, okay, oh doctor, you know what, this guy has a food poisoning, and he and I have just opened his stomach and like, okay, he's lying there. Can you just help me? Like, okay, what I need to do? Then he will go into extreme details, right? So he's telling the exact same message, but the details depends on whom he's speaking to. So the message may seem to be different, but in essence it is the same message. And like the other example we can relate to, at least I don't know, um, our Robert Prabhu may be able to tell, okay, because he has studied here. Sakshi Mataji may be also able to also say that, like, okay, uh, in my childhood, I we had, like, okay, those small pocket dictionary and those many volume, like, okay, dictionary, Webster dictionary. So in the pocket dictionary, like, okay, it may have like a few thousand words, and sometimes there are one or two meanings. But if you look at those large volume dictionaries, they may have lot of details. Like, okay, they may have, like, okay, uh, obviously it will have many several thousand words, but in addition to that, for each of the words they will have not only the meaning, but whether it's a noun, verb, like, okay, those kind of details will be there, and the application of those, how it will be, how those words are being used, so all those examples will be given. So in essence, what I was trying to say is like, okay, there's no difference between the scriptures, but it it depends on the message that has been given based on time, place, and circumstances. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in the 18th chapter, and I have always shared this verse earlier also, सर्वधर्म परित्याज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वं सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुच. Krishna is saying that abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me. If we see, in a way, Jesus also mentioned the same thing. What is the essence of the Ten Commandments? Jesus was asked, what is the essence of these Ten Commandments that are given by Moses? And he says that love, love thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, with all thy might. Love thy neighbor as thyself. So um, we used to have, I used to, I studied in a convent school, so I used to have one sticker on my on my table or on my cupboard. It said, like, okay, love your neighbor and you will be able to see God. So if you love someone, you surrender everything to him. In fact, if you see, the word Islam means surrender. In essence, we find that whatever message that Krishna is giving, its same message is there. There is no difference. All the bona fide scriptures, they say that give up the sense gratification, live a pure life, live a regulated life so that you can achieve the kingdom of God, Vaikuntha. Otherwise, you will go to what they call as Jahannam and Jannat, like, okay, based on whatever your karmic reaction is, you will go there, right? So the concept is same, but according to time, place, and circumstances, the message is passed differently. So it is not that Jesus was not self-realized. He was self-realized. It is to people whom we were speaking were too low. Some were fishermen, some were shepherd. So there's one example I'll tell you. Um, eh, so there is a book of John's. He says that I have so much to tell you, but you cannot bear it now. Therefore, he told them through allegorical stories, sometimes through analogies. Just like we tell stories to children, he preached for 3 years. And after 3 years, what happened? He was crucified. So think about it, like, okay, such a uh, like if you would have told this, like, okay, in the uh, in much detail, then what would have been his condition? Like, it would have not even lasted 3 years. So same thing, like if you see Muhammad also, it was not that he was less selfless, but the kind of people that he was dealing with were extremely low. And they were so greedy that in one surah, like, okay, he had to say that don't have sex with your mother and sister. You can have many wives if you want. So it means that the class of people that he was dealing with, they were even degraded to that level. So, and now if you tell these guys that, okay, you have to become a first class brahmachari or something like that, I mean, people will be able to take all those things. It's a class apart. So what Krishna is telling Arjun or Shukdev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj is very, very high level of philosophy. Therefore, according to time, place, and circumstances, the essential absolute truth is very much revealed according to the capacity of the people. But essence is all the same. So when Jesus, like he spoke one sermon that, okay, knock on the door, it will be opened for you. That means he said that seek and you shall find. Now that is same as what we call as Athato Brahma Jigyasa. So what is this Atato Brahma Jigyasa? That now that you have got this human form of life, inquire about absolute truth. Do not waste your time in just eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So the underlying message, if you see, is always the same, but the intensity and the details are more or less according to the level of understanding. So the next question that comes is, so there are so many scriptures, and when will we have the time to study all this? And all these are in Sanskrit, right? And to learn Sanskrit only, it will take 10 years. So, because we want to understand who the Lord is, right? We are desperate. So, there is not in Kali Yuga as it is, like there is so much fast life, there is not so much time to study all this scripture. So, Lord Krishna, understanding the nature of this Kali Yuga people, he gave a crash course. And because life is too short and everyone wants fast food, so we want essence. And in this essence, okay, again, no one wants struggle also, no beating around. So Krishna, he mercifully gave the essence of all scriptures in the Bhagavad Gita. So if you know Bhagavad Gita, everything you need to know is already there. And in fact, if you go to Bhagavad Gita in the introduction, there is this verse that is given, Gita Mahatmya. So in Gita Mahatmya, there is this verse. Let me bring this up. So, okay. This is a very, very beautiful verse. Let me share this from here. Can you see my screen? Maybe you'll have to just confirm that. Is my screen visible? Okay, I can't hear you. Or maybe you have to just show me thumbs up.
I can see it.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Robert Prabhu. It is said, Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopal Nandana Partho Vatsa Shudir Bhukta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat. So, this Gitopanishad, the translation says like this Gitopanishad, this Gita is also Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita. It is the essence of all the Upanishads, is just like the cow. And Lord Krishna, who is famous as a cowherd boy, is milking this cow. Arjun is just a calf, and learned scholars and pure devotees are to drink the nectarian milk of Bhagavad Gita. So let's contemplate on okay, what is being said here. What so this Upanishad means Upa means near, Ni, ni means under, and Shad means to sit down. That means this knowledge, this type of knowledge, this spiritual knowledge must be submissively heard sitting close under a spiritual instructor. So these Upanishads are also called Vedanta. And the analogy here is very beautiful. It is said that generally, see, the cow does not so the cow does not give milk, but if the calf is taken and if the calf likes to have milk, right, then the cow will give milk, and after the calf's quota is done, right, then whatever is the extra milk that is there, that remaining milk is taken and distributed to everyone. So that is how like we get the milk in our home, like whatever brand we may be getting. So but many cases like okay, in especially in US, like okay, many places they use very cruel tactics against cows, even in other countries also nowadays. But in general, this used to be the thing, like okay, cows were kept in a very ahimsa way, um, in a very healthy environment, so that like okay, they would give the milk for their calf, and like whatever excess is there, that will be distributed. um, so the cowherd man, like he would get all the he would get the calf near the cow will give milk, and whatever is there, like okay, whatever is the excess, that he would distribute it, like okay. So similarly, Krishna is the divine cowherd boy. What he did is he drew all the essence of the cow, essence of the Upanishads as milk for Arjuna, and Arjun was just used as an instrument. Actually, it is for all of us. And here there is a word used, Sudhir Bhukta. That means those who are intelligent. Okay, Sudhir means like okay, those who are intelligent. So Arjun was a self-released he was a self-released person actually. He's a devotee and self-released. He would ask questions and Krishna would reply to this to his questions, and through this like okay, whatever through Arjun like okay, Krishna was churning all the nectar like okay, giving it for all of us. And those who are intelligent will take advantage of this divine milk of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the essence of all the Upanishads. So just think about it, like, okay? Krishna, as the cowherd boy, is drawing all the milk, like, okay, the nectar from there, because Arjun is the calf, like, okay? He's waiting, he's asking all those questions. So for him, he is used as an instrument, but whatever excess is there, it is for us, for each of us. So just by understanding this Bhagavad Gita, automatically all that is there in the scriptures, we will get to know. And and the and the expansion or the elaboration of Bhagavad Gita is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So which further elaborates on the principles of Bhagavad Gita in a broader way. So it just like in there are law books, right? Like, okay, the law books quote the principles of the um, laws, right? And they give like a different case scenarios, right? Case studies are given, right? So similarly, the Srimad Bhagavatam is a book of case studies. How these principles were applied by others, it gives very, very detailed insight around that. So very, very detailed, insightful um, uh, case studies are provided in Srimad Bhagavatam. And by that, like what happens is one's understanding of the principles also become very clear, because the Srimad Bhagavatam contains histories from various parts of the world, by which one can understand Bhagavad Gita in a very deeper way. So anyone who knows Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam basically knows the essence of all scriptures. So so in this way, we started our discussion like, okay, to find out who is, like, does God exist, like, okay, and then we want to know who is God. So we came to this point like, okay, we talked about this Shabda Praman is the right way to get the information, not the Pratyaksha or the Anuman Praman, as Sakshi Mataji rightly said. And in our previous session, like, we were talking about like, okay, could could something come by chance? So we understood through various examples that okay, things will not come by chance. When we see a beautiful creation, there is always a creator behind it. Someone who is an intelligent person who understands that okay, there is always a creator behind every creation. So just like that, like, okay, so this in the whatever we see in the nature, like this colorful butterfly or the different types of trees, the different types of fruits, the different types of flowers, the different fragrance that these flowers have, the different type of birds, all of these have been created, and they are not coming just by chance. They have been created by someone, and there is an intelligent person behind this. So when we say there is a perfect laws, then there is a perfect lawmaker. So we took some examples of the cells in the body last time. Okay, there are nowadays like, okay, through the microscope or whatever different I don't know scientifically what kind of what they are called, but basically through those different obviously microscope, but like okay, those now uh, if there are any latest microscopes that are there, if they're called by different name, but through that we can see that how those DNAs, those cells are there in the perfect order. If we see how those when the at a molecule level, at an atom level, how those things are moving across, there's an order in that. How the seasons change, there is a perfect timing for that, right? That way we can predict. We see those weather apps, we talked about this. There is a perfect order. If we look at this whole galaxy, like, okay, there are planets revolving around in a perfect order. There are clusters, super clusters, all of those are happening. And then on the other side, like, okay, Darwin claims that okay, man came from monkeys. So Srila Prabhupada said that, okay, maybe his forefathers came from monkeys. We don't know what he's trying to claim there. But but see, like foolishly, in when we believe in science, like we just follow we accept his anuman or his hypothesis as a shabda praman. But but that is foolishness, okay. So we have to see that we are accepting the right source, knowledge from the right source as Shabda Praman. And in today's session we saw that okay, how all these cross cultural studies reveal that all these faiths have an understanding of a supreme creator, a proprietor, a supreme enjoyer, okay, a supreme controller, okay. How they have a how this faith like converge actually. So we may call that personality by different names. There may be different conceptions about the absolute truth, but everyone believes in the existence of the higher authority. And the same thing is revealed in the form of scriptures. But when the knowledge is heard from unbroken chain of disciplic succession, then we are able to understand what this absolute truth is. And then the essence of that knowledge is we are able to understand which is there in the Bhagavad Gita. So with that, I would conclude here, and I will ask like if anyone has any questions or any comments, then we can take that. Otherwise, we can close here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. दंडवत प्रणाम। वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, गौरंग कुटी भक्त वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी। So let me ask if anyone has any question or any comments, then we can take it here or we can conclude. Hare Krishna. Does anyone have any question or comments? Okay. Yes, Amit Prabhu.
So
Oh, sorry. I was trying to unmute you and I ended up muting you.
in the beginning of this class, you mentioned the urine of cow, stool of cow. So I saw something like people are drinking urine of cow and stool of cow. Are you supporting that kind of thing? I will support that kind of thing.
Yeah, so there are urine of cow is being used even for cancer treatment. Okay, I know there are treatments that are there because cow urine is extremely pure, and even the cow dung also. So there are medicines made with cow dung, which people are having. So there are several types of diseases that are cured with cow dung and cow urine. Um, I personally know like okay, one doctor who treats with only cow products, and that this person has so many patients like in line actually. Hare Krishna. Yeah, and just to give you one personal life example, um, my son Mohan Leuke, at one point of time, he was diagnosed with some symptoms of autism. So there are some background like he took some vaccine, there were some reactions like and then like he developed some symptoms of autism. So he had a very delayed speech, and doctors like in US they said okay, oh he's showing a lot of symptoms of autism, and then you have to start this so and so treatment everything. But then like it so happened that we had been to Vrindavan, and from his very childhood, Mohan loved cows, mother cow. So someone had told me that okay, that if you just go and take him near cows, like okay, even if you touch mother cow, even if you touch mother cow, like okay, that has such a deep impact. Like okay, it is able to remove like okay, all the s- so many diseases from our heart. So Mohan would play with cows there daily. And the first thing that he spoke was Go Mata Ki Jai. Because when we used to go, we used to say that, like, Go Mata Ki Jai. So this is the first thing that he spoke. The I'll give you another instance, like, okay. So so my father is also hearing. At one point of time, my father had contracted like okay, deadly, like he was in a life-threatening disease actually. He was practically on deathbed, and doctors had given up all hope for him. And during that time, like okay, so he was able to move, but his disease was in a very deadly situation. He had to undergo two surgeries, and both surgeries, like okay, uh, there were very less chances of survival. So at that point of time, so one Vaishnav said that okay, if you serve the mother cow, then there is some hope. So my father used to go to serve mother cow, and by serving mother cow, we can see he's still serving. So the power, the potency of mother cow is unlimited. What to talk about human beings? When Indra committed a great offense against the Vrajvasis, and at that time, like, okay, Indra was trying to give the message that everyone should worship him, but Krishna said that, okay, no, no, you don't need to worship Indra. You can just worship Giri Govardhan. But Indra, when someone desires respect, right, that really hurts the ego when they don't get the respect. So Indra was severely hurt. And at that time, Indra, what he did, he sent Samvartaka. Samvartaka is the can cause Samvartaka is sent for those things, those times, like, okay, when there are devastating storms and cyclones to be done. But Indra told you, go ahead and put that in Vrindavan. So devastating cyclone and storms were put in, but Krishna lifted Govardhan hill and he protected all the Vrajvasis. So when all this happened, Krishna lifted for 7 days and 7 nights. Krishna lifted Govardhan, and when all of them, when after 7 days everything, Indra kept on showering this. He himself went. He put his Vajra also. Nothing happened. Ultimately, he fell down into a ditch actually, and he came out fully covered with mud. Then there are prayers in Srimad Bhagavatam. Indra comes and prays to Krishna, asking for forgiveness, telling how what a fool he has been in understanding Krishna's position. Avajananti mam moda, Krishna says, like, okay, the fools do not know me. Okay, because that is how Duryodhan, Dhritarashtra, they could not know Krishna when he was present in the in in the Kurusabha. So when Indra did all this fault, like, okay, he was very scared that, okay, he has afflicted Krishna's most favorite dear devotee. So now what to do? So Indra takes shelter of mother cow, Surabhi, and he goes and runs to mother Surabhi and tells her, okay, please, I am begging you if you can request Krishna to forgive me. And since Surabhi mother comes and tells Krishna, Krishna forgives mother cow. Krishna forgives Indra, and then I- Indra is able to do the Abhishek of Krishna, and that Abhishek, which Krishna, which Indra did in Vrindavan, that has become a kund, and that is even present till today. It is called Govind Kund in Vrindavan Dham. It is on the Govardhan Parikrama Marg. So we can take darshan, we can take, and in that place we can go and pray that, okay, please take away all the pride that is in my heart. Please make my heart soft, so that when my heart becomes soft as a butter, then one day that butter thief, Kanha, will come and steal my heart. Those whose heart are hard-hearted, they will not find joy in hearing Krishna Katha. But those whose heart have become soft, they will relish Krishna Katha. Hare Krishna. So I hope that answers your question, Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Does anyone else have any other question or comments? Okay. If not, then let's conclude here. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. Nandut Pranam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol.